So in the previous video, we spoke about how we can apply the counting principle in figuring out the number of ways in which a task can be performed. Right, so today we stretch further on that same idea, right? But today we are looking at something called, it's when we use the counting principle where we are allowed to repeat making repetitions, right? Now let's talk about this idea of repetition. What does it mean? Let's take an example where we are trying to create a 4-digit code, right? We are trying to create a 4-digit code where repetition is allowed. What does it mean to have repetition being allowed in creating a 4-digit code? This is what it means. This means that your code could look something like 0 0 0 0. That's allowed. 0 is being repeated 4 times. Or you could have 0 1 0 1. This is allowed because you are repeating 0 2 times and 1 2 times. Right? You could have something like 2 2 1 1. This is also allowed. You could have 2 2 0 1 is allowed because 2 is being repeated twice. All right. Now, how can we apply this when we are using the counting principle? Let's remember what the counting principle says. The counting principle says the number of ways in which you can perform task 1 times the number of ways you can perform task 2 times the number of ways of performing task 3 times the number of ways of performing task 4. All this multiplied together will give you what? Will give you the total number of ways you can perform the entire task, which is the entire task here is what is creating this 4-digit code. So task 1 would be choosing the first digit code. Task 2 will be choosing the second digit code, so on and so on. So now I want you to go back to grade 11 and think about it in this way. Do you remember when we had balls of different colors and we were choosing them from a bucket? And whenever, let's say we had blue, green and yellow, and whenever we pick a ball and we said, okay, you've picked a yellow ball, now you have to replace it, right? Where replacement, it was choosing with replacement, right? So this is the same idea that we are applying here, because in order for us to be able to repeat these two, if we have picked 2 in the first bucket and we do not replace it, what does it mean? It means that the next bucket will not have 2 to choose from. So that means we have to replace 2 in order for us to be able to choose 2 again. Right. Now, let's use the same idea in creating our 4-digit code. All right. Now, I'm going to draw boxes over here to put our chosen numbers for creating the code. And here we are going to write the number of choices that we have. So let's say we have bucket 1. Bucket 1, we call it P1, and it has digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So in this bucket, we are going to choose any number that we are going to put over there. But let's think about it. How many numbers can we choose from? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 choices, meaning 10 options to choose from. So that is our first n choice, right? The choices of performing or ways of performing task 1, which is choosing number, first digit of the password. Let's say we choose number 9. This is our code. This right here is our code, and here is the number of ways. All right. Have a distinction. So this is our code over there. This is the number of ways of choosing, of creating that code. Okay, now we have chosen number 9. Does this mean that we no longer have 9 in the bucket? No, it doesn't mean that, Because we said repetition is allowed, which consequently mean what? Means whenever we pick a number, we replace it. So that means that in our bucket, in our second bucket, B2, we still have what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All our numbers are still in the bucket. Right, now, how many choices do we have? We still have 10 choices because we replaced the number that we took in creating the first code. Now, let's say we take code 8 from how many choices? From 10 choices. Right, we move on to bucket 3. How many numbers do we have? Do we remove 8? No, we do not. Why? Because repetition is allowed. What does that mean? That means we are replacing each and every number that we are taking from the bucket. All right, we still have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, now let's say we choose 8 again. Oh my God. Yeah, one more box. We choose 8 again. What does this mean? This illustrates exactly repetition. We have repeated our digit number 8. So 8 appears twice. That's what repetition means in our code. Right, okay. So how many choices did we choose that 8 from? We chose it from 10 options that we had. All right, so we go on to the fourth bucket now. Have we removed 8? No, we do not. Because repetition is allowed, which means that we replace each and every number that we are taking out of the bucket. Yes. All right. Which number can we choose? We can take 9 again. 9 over there. How many choices did we have? We had 10 choices to choose from. Right. So this is the total number of ways in which we can create what? We can create this 4-digit code. Now, what can we observe from here? Let's make some observations, or you can write them as notes. Observations. Right. So, what we observed is that each time that we chose a number, the number of choices, or our number of choices, did not change. From each bucket, from bucket 1 to bucket 2, from bucket to bucket 3 to bucket 4, our number of choices remained as 10. Right. So now what do we write? Let's say the number of choices, which is the value of n, does not change in each step. Right, our number of choices does not change in each step. What else? What other observation did we make? We see that here, to calculate the total number of ways that we can perform this task of creating the 4-digit code, we had 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, which is what? Which is basically 10 being multiplied by itself 4 times. That is 10 to the power 4, which in general can be written as n, where n is the number of choices, to the power r, where r is the number of times we choose from the options that we have. Right? So in this case, we had n as 10 over there, and the number of times we choose from these options was 4 times, because we had to choose 4 digits. Right, so that is the entire idea around using the counting principle, or the fundamental counting principle, where repetition is allowed. So in our next video, we are going to look at how we can use the fundamental counting principle when repetition is not allowed. All right, cheers.